This is RingConn, a smart ring that claims to do everything the Oura Ring can do and more for half the price and with no monthly subscription fees. But is this really the best value activity tracker on the market right now, or is it just a cheap knockoff? To find out, I wore RingConn for 2 months, along with all the other most popular activity trackers. So today, I'll be showing you what RingConn does and whether or not its data is accurate, a crazy new feature unique to this ring that could potentially save your life, and who should or shouldn't buy RingConn, including what I would tell my own mother if she asked me about buying one herself. Now, there are some potential deal breakers I think people should know about before buying this ring, but I want to start things off on a positive note. So let's talk about the #1 reason people are switching to this ring from companies like Oura right now. Let's just be real here. People are tired of all the f***ing subscription bullshit. Brands like Oura are charging up to $500 for their latest ring, nearly double the cost of the latest RingConn model. Then they have the audacity to charge an additional $6 a month to let you access even extremely basic features of the app. No joke, I can't even check my own heart rate on the Oura app without a subscription. If you are fundamentally okay with that, then there's probably nothing I can say to change your mind, so we can just agree to disagree on what makes for an ethical business model. But personally, I think unless we want to live in a future where we pay a monthly subscription to use everything from our toaster to our toothbrush, we've got to draw the line somewhere. I choose to draw that line here. Once you buy RingConn, it's yours. No sneaky hidden fees, no greedy paywall to access your health data, none of that. Best of all, among the top tier smart ring options available, RingConn is actually the most affordable, at least before you get into the really sketchy drop-shipped crap rings. At the time I'm recording this video, the brand new RingConn Gen 2 sells for about $300, and the older Gen 1 model costs about half that, at least until they run out of those. If you're gonna get one, personally, I'd spend the extra money for the Gen 2 because it's smaller, lighter, more accurate, and has a longer battery life. Plus, it's got a crazy new feature that we're gonna talk about later, but I'm not here to upsell anyone. Get whichever one makes more sense for you. And if it helps you out, I'll drop a link down below that'll keep updated with the best current deal possible. And for what it's worth, this is not a sponsored video. I did not take any compensation to say anything good about the ring, and I do have some pretty big criticisms coming up. However, using that discount link will help support the channel, which I greatly appreciate. If you do purchase one, you'll start by choosing a size and color. I pretty much always go matte black, so these options work for me. If you're buying a ring, they'll send you a sizing kit first for free, and you should definitely use it. Wear a few different sizes for a night or two just to be really positive that you get the right fit, because our fingers can tend to swell a bit throughout the day, and I know it really sucks having to twist the ring back and forth to get it off, so just take a day or two and get that size right. Now, I don't know if this part will still be relevant whenever you see this video, but at checkout right now, it actually adds a charging dock to the shopping cart. Let me just save you a few bucks here and tell you, I don't think it's necessary. The RingConn Gen 2 already comes with a portable charger, which is actually awesome, but I'll show you that in just a minute. When my RingConn arrived, my initial thoughts were, let's say, mixed. I've been testing a lot of different smart rings over the past few months, and this one is actually quite different from the rest. It's obviously round, as all rings are, but the edges are like thicker in some parts than others. It's actually a totally new design compared to the other rings I've seen. RingConn is also definitely the lightest and thinnest smart ring I've worn by far. There are other brands out there that make this claim, but trust me, RingConn Gen 2 holds the title. But remember when I told you not to buy that extra charging dock? Well, that's because where RingConn really impressed me is with this included portable charger. This thing is just a huge step up from all the other smart ring chargers, and it helps you keep your ring safe while charging on the go. And the battery life on these things is insane. All my other smart rings last like 5 to 6 days. My RingConn lasts me 12 to 14, so that's more than twice as long as my other rings before this thing needs a charge. It's nuts. But there is something that's a lot more important to me than RingConn's battery life, and that's the RingConn app and the accuracy of the data it provides. The first thing I noticed about the app is that it's completely different from every other smart ring I've ever tried. And this can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on your preference. The app just looks very basic to me. Even the language they use to give me feedback is like, good sleep makes you energetic. Good sleep makes you happy. Stress, normal. Peace and joy. They're like the kind of Chinese catchphrases you'd expect to see on a $6 shirt from Shein. But surprisingly, the data RingConn provided was really friggin' good. When it came to my sleep data, so like my time asleep, time in bed, and sleep efficiency, they usually all fell within a few minutes of the data I got from other activity trackers like Whoop or Oura. RingConn was also on point with all the other most important metrics like my resting heart rate, blood oxygen levels, heart rate variability, skin temperature, and respiratory rate. And even though the main insights page of the app appears very basic and easy to read, you actually can dive a lot deeper into the data. It only takes one click to pull up my sleep stages in a very similar format to all the other top-tier sleep trackers. Same goes for your activity data or your stress data. So the depth of data and analysis is there if you want it. It's just a little bit less in your face than the other apps, which I think makes RingConn more accessible for people beginning their health or fitness journey who want some feedback on how their daily actions and habits are affecting their sleep, their mood, and their overall well-being, but don't necessarily want a device that requires a degree in data science to unpack all that feedback. Even if this were your first smart ring, it wouldn't take more than a few minutes to make sense of the app's user interface, and I think that's a good thing. On the Insights page, you see a visual representation of your wellness balance so you can clearly see at a glance where you're doing well and where you could use some feedback. So for this particular day, my vitals look great, I'm sleeping well, and my stress levels are good, but my activity levels are low because I've been sitting on my ass scripting videos all week. But if I go back a few days, you can see what it looks like when I'm actually getting outside and moving around. And of course, you can click on any of these tabs to see exactly why it's giving you that score, as well as what you can do to improve it. RingConn also does a great job with its Trends tab, where you can get a really quick and easy overview of your average sleep, stress, activity, and vital sign scores for the week, month, or year. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend RingConn to everyone, but there is a certain kind of person I would recommend it to, and I'll touch on that in just a minute. But first, there are a few new features that we need to talk about. One is pretty cool, and the other could be a literal lifesaver. The first new feature is RingConn's built-in AI, which is still in beta mode, but they've already added a tab for managing your own AI-assisted health plans, which will help you set specific goals and give you reminders about reaching them as often as you'd like. They've got an AI-powered body and mind balance plan with a sleep improvement plan on the way, and these, I think, will be huge for casual users who want one-click health coaching rather than having to sift through walls of data and figure out what to do with that information themselves. This feature will probably be great for anyone who basically just wants to be told what to do. Get off your ass and go for a walk. Yes, mistress. But there's another new feature that's so much more interesting to me than the AI, and that's the sleep apnea monitoring. This is so valuable, and it's something I've always wanted to test, but none of the other rings do it. Personally, I know I don't snore unless I'm like drunk or something, but I've never really known with 100% certainty whether or not I'm breathing correctly through the night. I mean, I'm asleep, so how would I know? But if I do have any degree of sleep apnea, I want to know about it sooner rather than later, since it can lead to heart attacks or strokes down the road, or just deprive your brain of the oxygen it needs to perform at its best. With their new sleep apnea monitoring program, RingConn only needs 3 nights of data to detect abnormalities and let you know if you've got a problem. And like the rest of the app, RingConn makes the report easy to understand, but if you actually dive deeper into the data, it can become highly detailed, which to me is very cool. But let's get to the point. Who should and shouldn't buy RingConn? Well, frankly, the data I got from this ring was top-notch. Being that this ring is cheaper than the other major brands, I initially expected it to lag behind the competitors on accuracy, but it didn't at all. In fact, all of the most important metrics I tracked consistently came within a few points of activity trackers that cost twice as much and include subscriptions. They also didn't seem to cheap out on build quality. This is hands down the best portable charger I've seen so far, and the ring is nearly half the weight and width of my Oura Ring, yet somehow the battery lasts almost twice as long. RingConn really is a fantastic ring, and I have no problem calling it the best value smart ring on the market right now. And I think that's probably why people online are rating it so highly and ditching their Oura Rings for it. In fact, if my own mother told me she wanted a smart ring and asked me which one she should buy, I think this is the one I would recommend to her, because it's simple to pick up and use, yet offers deep insights and feedback to those who want it. And it's the most affordable way to step into the smart ring space without sacrificing build quality or data accuracy. Yeah, I would say even my tech-illiterate mom could probably figure this ring out pretty quickly. Love you, Mom. And since I love my mama, I'd also remind her to use my discount link down in the description to get the best deal and support her favorite son's YouTube channel. I'd personally recommend going for the latest model rather than the previous generation, for the same reason I wouldn't recommend anyone today buy, an iPhone 10. The latest model is smaller and lighter. It has an improved battery life, more accurate data measurements, AI capabilities, and sleep apnea tracking. But hey, you do whatever makes sense for you. There are really only two kinds of people who I think should probably not buy RingConn. The first are people who are primarily looking for a super accurate step counter, because frankly, that's not any of the smart rings. The major brands are okay at roughly estimating your steps, but if you're more interested in fitness than sleep, I'd probably skip the rings and go for something like Whoop, which I guess I'll also drop a discount link to that down below. And finally, I don't recommend RingConn to people who actually want a cluttered wall of health data. And I'm not being a smartass. There are rings out there that can help you track things like vitamin D intake, caffeine consumption, circadian rhythm, and so on. But they also come with a much bigger learning curve that can be intimidating to casual users. But if that sounds appealing to you, you're probably going to want to check this video out. Otherwise, let me know down in the comments if you own a RingConn yourself and how you've been liking it. Like, comment, subscribe,